Okay, first I want to apologize for being absent so many days for you guys. If you've gotten to know me at all, you know that it's not something I like to do, but sometimes I don't have a choice. I tried coming back Wednesday, as you all saw, but I just still was not feeling up to it. So, we have not missed any notes. If you've been watching the ed puzzles and writing them down in your notebooks like you're supposed to during stations, you haven't missed any notes with me. We did 3 ed puzzles lately. As a station, you did absolute value inequalities, you did quadratic inequalities, and then on Monday you did a parent graph system of inequalities. So we are going to do warm-ups to reinforce these things. So remember, upside down in the back of your notebook, copy down the warm-up, pause the video if you need to. When you are doing absolute value inequalities, you start by getting the absolute value alone. Do not change the stuff that I just highlighted yellow. And then also, whereas we do this, we're going to pretend it says equal to. So I'm going to add 1, and then on the process, I'm going to turn it to equal to. This is going to equal 14. Then you cannot change the yellow part. So instead of distributing the 2, you have to divide by 2. Get the absolute value alone. Once you've gotten the absolute value alone, the insides could equal 7 like it says, or the insides, don't change the insides, could equal -7. Excuse me. We did not change the insides. We solved these 2 little equations for x. Pause the video if you need to. And then remember, this was an inequality originally. This symbol is the less than or equal to symbol. So that means your final graph needs to include a number line and the solution. So on my number line, you don't have to put all the tick marks, but put 0 in the correct spot. +2 is clearly to the right, the positive side, and -8/3 should be to the left. You have in your notebooks the foldable. These symbols are solid. These symbols are hollow. So based on our symbol, it's going to be solid dots. My screen moved, sorry. And then you need to test and see if 0 is true. Excuse me. Theoretically, you can test anything, but 0 is the easiest number. Test it in the original thing that was typed on your paper. Simplify. This is 2 minus 1. I get 1 is less than or equal to 13. Remember, the alligator mouth is supposed to be eating the bigger number. It is eating the bigger number. I tested 0, and that's true, so I'm going to connect the dots. This is an in-between answer. The in-between answers get answered like this. -8/3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. This is how you easily say between mathematically. This whole thing is the final solution. Pause the video if you need to. I'm moving on. Quadratic inequalities. Again, we're going to pretend it says equal to constant x and x squared. This is a quadratic. We've been working on that. We need to make it equal 0, and I'm going to change it to equal to at the same time. Every problem I do will be factorable. Pause it if you'd like to factor this on your own. Multiplies the -3x squared, adds to be 2x. 3x and 1x, it needs to add to be positive, so this one needs to be negative. Pause it if you'd like to factor it on your own. This is x minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 0. 0 product property is going to give me +1 and -3. Those are my boundary points on the number line. This was an inequality. It needs to be graphed on a number line. Put 0 somewhere. +1 should be on the right. -3 should be on the left. This symbol is a hollow dot. Test 0 to see if it's true or false in the original equation. Alligator mouth is supposed to be eating the bigger number. It is not. 0 was false. So if the inside's false, the outsides must be true. It's either in or out. This is an or statement. X, the arrow tells you what way your inequality should be facing. X is less than -3, or because there's a gap, X, the arrow tells you what way your inequality should go, greater than 1. This is the solution to number 2. I am not marking these 2 problems with an essential skill, but it is something we should have learned this year, and I wanted to review it. Pause it if you need to. Number 3 is part of your essential skill, systems. Inequalities with 2 variables means on a graph, and shading. These are the shading problems. And it's good practice for your parent graphs. See if you can graph that parabola. Has a vertex at -1, 3, and an a value of -0.5, down 0.5 on both sides. You should always be right next door. Should it be solid or dotted? You have a foldable that tells you these symbols are dotted, these symbols are solid. This should be a dotted parabola. Shade lightly. This says y is less than the equation. Less than, that same foldable is down. So from the vertex, I would shade lightly down, or I'm just going to do some stripes. You can do it lightly if you have a pencil. And then I'm going to switch colors. See if you can graph that cubic. Locator point at -2, -1. Pause it if you want to graph it on your own. Neighboring points, 2 higher, 2 lower, excuse me. Solid or dotted? It has the equal to bar, so this is a solid cubic. Going up and going down. Shade, this says y is greater than, so from your locator point up, I would lightly shade if I could shade lightly on an iPad. And then where your pencil overlaps, make that extra dark. This area would be the solution to the system. So I just wanted to do a little bit of practice. You guys should have a worksheet to do and an IXL to do. So make sure you're using your time wisely. Me not being there is not an excuse for you guys not to get stuff done. I'm not giving you too much to do. I am providing you with videos. You have everything you need. So make me proud.